Hey there, my friend. I've got a great topic for you today. It's about decluttering our mindset to really propel yourself to reach your health and fitness goal. Doesn't that sound fun? But hear me out. We're all familiar with the sense of relief when, and even that lightness when we cleaned up or decluttered like our home or even our office. A lot of times we'll use decluttering as kind of an avoidance mechanism. It's like, I got this tough project, so instead of doing the project, I clean off the desk. But the thing is, you get that feeling. Things are organized. Things are put in the right place. And you know, even if you picture the feeling of your kitchen, the countertops are clean, everything's organized, everything's in its place. It just gives you a kind of a sense of relief. Like, oh my gosh, everything's in order. Man, I don't feel compressed or overwhelmed. So, I mean, just like our homes, our minds can really get decluttered over time. You know this, I'm sure. And the thoughts can really take form of, like, the clutters, like negative thoughts, unhelpful beliefs, old habits that keep popping up that no longer serve us. They no longer take us to the goals that we want. Everyday stress. And we often accumulate this stuff faster than the dust in our homes. And each of these is like an object taking up space and causing potential disorder. I know sometimes people are like, hey, I like my little creative chaos. But the thing is, like physical clutter, mental clutter can really weigh us down and keep us from achieving what it is that we want to do, especially when it comes to our health and fitness stuff. So we're going to talk about that. But before we get into that, I do want to welcome you to another Power Blast podcast where we provide nourishment for the soul, allowing you to transform from the inside out, providing you rapid results in mindset and fitness so that you can recharge that battery of yours. And we're going to really talk about that today and reclaim your power. And I want to make sure to remind you when you're ready. Just, we can even talk about the decluttering stuff. We could talk about reaching your health and fitness stuff. Make sure you head over to my calendar, talktoperry.com. I open this wide open for podcast listeners and podcast viewers. It's my calendar, talktoperry.com, because we'll just chat for like 15 minutes so I can help you reach your goals even faster. And it's all about keeping your energy high and reaching all of your goals. So talktoperry.com is where that calendar is at. It's just for you, my friend. Okay, to declutter our mindset, we need to adopt an approach that's kind of like how we would attack maybe an overstuffed or over-organized, or just, let's call it not over-organized, but a disorganized garage, okay? Or closet. Some of you, let's go with the garage thing. I know a lot of times, when I was growing up, my parents would be like, oh, we're going to clean out the garage today. We're going to clean out the basement today. And you'd be just like, I wanted to go and play. I wanted to go and do this. We're going to do what? As adults, I think, many of us are like, we get behind that. We get behind what it is. But the first step is to identify the items that no longer serve us. I know I might get Maria Kondo on you here, because mainly these things are deeply ingrained inside of us. So it's just like, hey, we've got the habit of just reaching for comfort foods. We've got the habits of maybe avoiding exercise, or maybe putting things off to where it's like, oh, it'll be a better time, or when my workout gym is put together, or when I get the right fitness shoes, or whatever it is. And we counteract things with stuff that we just respond to with, because of stress. We're overeating, we're mindlessly munching, we're saying, you know what, that's not a priority for me right now. I'm just going to sit on the couch, binge on some Netflix, something like that. So these mental habits, they're like that old worn out chair that's in the corner, nobody sits on, but it's familiar. It's always there. I mean, maybe people do sit on it. Maybe it's the old worn out chair or the old pair of jeans sort of thing that it's like, I have them because they're just comfortable. But it's really taking up space, you know? So once we recognize this sort of thing, um, and we recognize what beliefs and what habits are really unhelpful and not getting us to these things, to what we're wanting for our goals. I know a lot of times we'll go, well, I need to give up this. I need to give up this. I need to stop doing this, but I keep doing it. Well, really, it's really saying, you know what, I'm going to intentionally commit to that, you know, as opposed to this little thinking out loud sort of thing and hoping that somebody will, you know, not somebody, but something will stick, you know. And I know it's not always the easy part, you know, because some of these old habits and old thinkings and old behaviors have just become friends. Even though they're not working for you, they've just become part of the, it's like the old couch there. It's like, you know, I can't get rid of this. You know, I'm thinking back to your house when it was like, I can't get rid of this. I paid good money for that. Or we've always had that. That's always been in the family. Although, you know, it takes up space. Nobody likes it, all this stuff. So you're doing the same thing with your mindset. Releasing the elements that no longer serve you, replacing them with healthier thinking habits, right? Just like, hey, well, let's get rid of the old chair. We're going to put in a new one. So when we replace those things, we do that, you know, it could be, it's like, okay, now I've got a new hobby, or I've got an option to do exercise now and engage in physical activities that you enjoy, as opposed to, hey, I'm going to avoid this and do this. I know we don't usually consciously say, I'm avoiding that. It's just that we conveniently distract ourselves with other things so that we don't take action on the priorities, or, you know, toward our goals. So let me give another example here. I'm just kind of grasping. Like it's like, hey, I want to do exercise, but you keep putting in all the little perfection things, but it's got to be the right day, it's got to be the right time. I've got to have everything perfectly organized, as opposed to just saying, you know what, I'm going to chip away at this like I would a closet, and I'm going to go in and exercise around the clutter. And then maybe after I've done with my exercise, maybe I remove some of the other clutter that's cluttering up this room, that sort of thing. Well, that's the mindset stuff. You're empowering yourself with, well, I just don't want to exercise because it's uncomfortable and all that stuff, but I know I should. Well, instead of that thinking, you're like, you know what? I'm a person who exercises. I'm an action taker. I'm going for this. And you start replacing negative thinking, or thinking that's not serving you, and replacing it with positive thinking, with thinking of who you're being. Then you got to go take action. Okay. It's like, if I've got to declutter my desk here and it's pretty cluttered up at the moment, it's not me just going, yeah, I should clean up, I should put this organized and stuff like that. If it's going to get organized, it isn't my thinking that's going to move the stuff. But once I move the things, I mean, then you start to feel freer. So let me give you an example of what recently happened and how this topic even came about. Last month, I was at my parents' house, and my mom was begging me to come. I think she just wanted me to visit, but she was like, we need to declutter the basement. We can't go up and down the stairs like we used to, and we don't know how we're going to get all this stuff out, and we just need help. So in my mind, I'm like, well, we might deal with that years to come, but I'm like, okay, if we're going to do this, we're going to make sure that we start creating things, what to toss, what to keep, what to give. And we're going to make our decisions very, very quickly on this. We're not going to sit there and go, well, I created, I spent good money on that. Well, I got this from somebody. Well, I got this. And we aren't going to go with this back and forth. We're going to make quick, decisive decisions. Are we going to keep it? Are we going to toss it? Are we going to give it? And we did. I was really impressed that they made those decisions so fast. I think Marie Kondo would have been very proud of that. But as we kept going, I started thinking, how often do we do that with our mindset, with our thinking, and avoiding the very things that we know? It's like, oh my gosh, I've got the cluttered basement. I've got the cluttered storage unit up here between my ears, and it's really weighing me down. What would that be like if I got it organized and uncluttered? And the thing is, we looked at when we were decluttering that basement, stories did come up. Excuses and things did come up. But the thing is, we identified which ones were draining our battery, which ones were depleting us, and also we're defending whether we should keep this or not. And it's like and I brought that awareness to my parents very, very quickly. And some of the things were maybe heirlooms. It's like, oh yeah, I want to keep that, or somebody else in the family might want that. But for the rest of it, it was like, yes, it served its purpose. It brought us happiness. It brought this. Now it's just clutter that is holding us back. And speaking of energy, that's why I tell people, hop on a free recharge call with me. And I call it recharge. That's over at talktoperry.com, because so many of us bounce from thing to thing to thing, and we clutter our lives with all these busy to-do list things. We're like a 6-year-old smartphone, all these apps and all this storage that's just about ready to run out. Then you've got 2% battery life, and you've got all the warning lights that have gone on. You have no charger around, and you know that somebody might give you an important call or a text message to chat with you, and you're not sure, is the phone going to crash? Well, that's where I help you charge back up, because I want to hear what goals you're going toward, what struggles that you've had, what's draining your energy right now. And I can tell you within 15 minutes of us talking together which direction to point you in, so you're going to get the best results from, so that you can really reclaim that power and boost up that energy of yours. And heck, worst case scenario, you walk away with 3 strategies to boost your energy, reclaim your time, because that's a big thing for a lot of people, and make you the priority. That's a big thing for people too. And I ask, how would your life look different if your battery, mental and physical, was running at 100% every single day instead of 2%? Talktoperry.com is where it's at. Jump on my calendar there. So decluttering. It's not a one-time event. I think a lot of times, it's like we got my parents' basement decluttered. There is the possibility that other things start to go in and replace it. I'm hoping not, but there is that possibility. But with our mindset, you can almost guarantee that something's going to come in and replace it. The universe abhors a vacuum, right? So if you replace something, something's got to go in its place. So if you're going to take out something negative and bless and release it, bring something in that you want to keep, something that's going to help you reach your goals, some sort of positive mindset, positive thinking. Maybe it's an empowerment ritual. I created one myself for my mornings. As a matter of fact, you can have that entire checklist. Head over to morningsuccesshabits.com. I'll pop that link into the show notes there so you don't have to remember it, because that's extra brain stuff, right? But you're going to need these regular maintenance cleanups and stuff like that. Reflecting on your thought patterns, reflecting on the affirmations, the benefits of the health, as you start to realize something's trying to come in to sabotage you and say, you have ice cream in the freezer. You need to eat the entire container because you're stressed out. We'll all feel better. Don't go and do that exercise. Don't go in for that salad. And you have that internal battle. But the more you empower yourself, you start to suffocate the old stuff, right? I mean, imagine for a moment what it would be like to have a clean, free, clutter-free mindset. Positive thoughts, helpful thoughts, thoughts that are constantly propelling you toward your goals. And that pretty uplifting, right? So remember, we can take time to maintain and clean an organized space, or we can kind of decide, hey, you know what? Now's not a good time, or I can't quite do that, or we'll come up with as many excuses and rationalizations, and then we defend it. And then where are we going? We're going away from our goals. We like to think if we're not going after our goals, we're just staying here until it gets, until the timing's right. But what really happens is if you're not going for your goals, you're going away from your goals. You're just drifting farther and farther off course. Have you ever tried that before where you were exercising for a long time, things started to get easier, you got stronger, and then you stopped for a long time? You drifted so far off course that when you start exercising again, you feel more out of shape than the first time you started. So here it is. I mean, you have the power to choose to take control, or you can let the excuses, justifications, rationalizations, defending your limitations stuff and reasons why you can't do it. And I'm sure the reasons are really good. You can let those control you and drain your power. Really decide. It's boiling down to deciding and committing to yourself and your goals and choosing to figure out new ways, looking at possibilities, learning, growing, and keep moving forward. Keep working on that mindset of yours. You've got this, my friend. I'd love to hear your top takeaway from today. I know I went on a rant for a bit. I don't know, stuff with the basement, stuff with the garage and all that stuff. But that's where it's at. You know, once the clutter is gone and things are in its organized place, you start to feel lighter. You start to feel freer. You start to have more energy. You start to feel like, oh my gosh, nothing's keeping me from my goals. So work on the stuff up here, right? So I'd love to hear your top takeaway from today. Drop those in the comments. I do respond to those. You absolutely rock, my friend. And as always, remember, it's never too late. We'll see you next week. That's another Power Blast podcast in the books. Thanks so much for tuning in. And remember, when you are ready to recharge your battery, make sure you go to talktoperry.com. That's talktoperry.com. That's Perry. And I want to listen. I want to hear. You know, what's going on? I want to help you in that 15-minute call to recharge your battery and reclaim your power so that you're off and running and creating massive momentum toward your dream. Also, every day, I am delivering more motivation, support, tips, and strategies inside my free community with amazing people like yourself. And we are conquering the mindset and the fitness. I do 52 weeks of free training in there. Plus, I coach and I mentor people, as well as give you access to tons of resources and guides. It's called my Upside Down Fitness Community because we work on a lot of mindset stuff, the inside stuff. And we're a fun group of people striving to make healthier habits in this awesome chapter of life. So make sure you get in there. I promise you'll absolutely love it. Just head over to upsidedownfit.com and you can get into the group. And hey, you would be an awesome friend if you get over to iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcast and leave an honest rating and review for the Power Blast podcast. It helps awesome people like you find this show even faster, and that's who I'm looking for, awesome people like you. That's all I have for this week, my friend, and just to let you know, you absolutely rock. That's all I have for this week. I'll see you on the next Power Blast podcast, and always remember, it's never too late. We'll see you next week.